If you could zoom into a single atom 1 billion times, what would you actually see? A solid ball or almost nothing at all? Scientists got this wrong again and again before landing on the truth, and today we rebuild that whole journey, piece by piece, from ancient guesses to the modern picture of the atom. Long before microscopes existed, the Greek thinkers Leucippus and Democritus imagined matter made of tiny indivisible pieces they called atomos, meaning indivisible. Around the same time in India, Acharya Canada proposed indivisible particles called parmanas. Centuries later, Dalton turned this into a real scientific theory. Atoms are indivisible building blocks of matter. Then J.J. Thomson discovered the electron using cathode ray tubes and proposed the plum pudding model, a positively charged sphere with electrons embedded inside it, like fruit in a pudding. This was tested by the gold foil experiment. Alpha particles, which are positively charged, were fired at a thin sheet of gold foil. Most passed straight through, proving an atom is mostly empty space. But a few bounced sharply backward, and only a small, dense, positively charged core could repel them that strongly. This proved the existence of a nucleus, and it directly disproved Thomson's model, since a spread-out positive charge could never cause that sharp A deflection. This gave Rutherford his nuclear planetary model, a tiny, dense, positive nucleus at the center, with electrons orbiting around it. But this model had one big problem it couldn't explain. An orbiting electron should continuously lose energy and spiral into the nucleus. Yet atoms clearly don't collapse. To fix this stability problem, Niels Bohr proposed that electrons don't orbit just anywhere. They move only in certain fixed allowed energy shells, labeled K, L, M, N, and so on, and while inside a shell, an electron does not lose energy at all. Every atom is built from 3 subatomic particles: the electron, with a negative charge of -1 found outside the nucleus, the proton, with a positive charge of +1 found inside the nucleus, and the neutron, with no charge at all, also found inside the nucleus alongside the protons. Each shell has a strict maximum capacity given by the formula 2n squared, where n is the shell number counting outward from the nucleus. So the K shell, where n equals 1, holds at most 2 electrons. The L shell, n equals 2, holds 2 times 2 squared, which is 8. The M shell, n equals 3, holds 2 times 3 squared, which is 18. There's one more rule you must never forget. No matter what 2n squared allows, the outermost shell can never hold more than 8 electrons, and shells must fill in strict order: K completely first, then L, then M. The next shell only starts filling once the current one is full. 2 numbers uniquely identify every atom. The atomic number, written Z, is simply the number of protons in the nucleus, and since a whole atom is electrically neutral, the number of electrons must exactly equal the number of protons, too. The mass number, written A, is the total count of protons plus neutrons together. These 2 particles are called nucleons because they both live inside the nucleus. For example, if an atom has 12 protons and 12 neutrons, its mass number is 12 plus 12, which is 24. And since protons equal electrons in a neutral atom, it also has 12 electrons. Once you know the electron count, you can write the electronic configuration, how electrons are distributed shell by shell, filling K, then L, then M, using the 2n squared and outermost shell max 8 rules from before. The number of electrons in the outermost shell decides the valency, the atom's combining capacity. If an atom has fewer than 4 electrons in its outer shell, it tends to lose them. If it has more than 4, it tends to gain electrons to complete a full outer shell of 8 called an octet. And if it has exactly 4, like carbon, it tends to share electrons instead. Not every atom of an element is identical in mass, and this is where isotopes come in. Isotopes are atoms of the same element, meaning the same atomic number, the same number of protons, but with different mass numbers because they have different numbers of neutrons. Hydrogen has 3 isotopes: protium with 0 neutrons, deuterium with 1 neutron, and tritium with 2 neutrons. All 3 have exactly 1 proton, so all 3 are still hydrogen. Because isotopes have the same number of electrons, they behave identically in chemical reactions, but their different masses give them different physical properties, like boiling point. Isobars are the opposite idea. Atoms of different elements, with different atomic numbers, that happen to share the same mass number. For example, calcium-40 and argon-40. And when an element has several isotopes occurring in nature, its average atomic mass is a weighted average based on how abundant each isotope actually is, not a simple average of the isotope masses. Quick check. The question's on screen. Pause if you like, but try it first. 10 seconds, go. An atom of chlorine has 17 protons and 18 neutrons. What is its mass number? Mass number equals protons plus neutrons. 17 plus 18 equals 35. The answer is 35. Every atomic model was replaced because new evidence didn't fit. Thomson's plum pudding fell to the gold foil experiment, giving us Rutherford's nucleus, and Bohr's fixed shells fixed the stability problem. Atomic number equals protons equals electrons. Mass number is protons plus neutrons, and isotopes share an atomic number while isobars share a mass number. Free notes in the description. Subscribe to Clarix for the rest of Class 9 Chemistry.